On the 10th of April 2022, I started my own console challenge, a journey to beating every PlayStation 2 game. I've been collecting these games for many years, and one day I said to myself, why am I not playing these? They're gathering around, gathering dust. Games are meant to be played, so that's what I'm gonna do. We've already encountered some epic moments. There's been laughs along the way.
Oh no. Ah! It's actually pretty good.
And of course, a few tears. But one thing's for sure, we're gonna beat every PS2 game. It's time for game number 4, Pacific Warriors 2, Dogfight. Midas. One of the publishers we're going to see a lot during the PS2 challenge, and these guys, yeah, they were famous for publishing quite a variety of games, and they are notorious for maybe publishing a lot of the doozies out there. There is always a company or two that stands out every generation, and Midas definitely gets some credit for being a bit jank. This is why I created Rule 2, every game is sacred. It doesn't matter what the publisher was, their track record, or what has happened in the series. I approach every game with a clear head, clear mind, and we're going to play the game as it unfolds, as I think every game deserves their justice. As the game boots up, we are introduced to a cutscene before even getting to the title screen. Sometimes this happened in video games, and this one is no exception. Some planes shooting down on subs and boats. You've got some pilots throwing some cheesy, corny lines. But hey, it's a fun little fanfare for what we're going to probably expect. And this was my first ever real experience of a flight sim game. So I was approaching this with an open mind and hoping for some good things from this game, from at least this cutscene. So let's dive in. Off the bat, when we are at the title screen, you always go and do this usually when you start a new game. At least I do. Checked out the options we had, bare bones there, vibration, sound settings. Wasn't too surprised, and so we just go and do the simple thing of hopping into a new game. With the new game selected, you've got to give yourself a pilot a name. Obviously, we name it after ourselves, but then you're given a campaign option, America or Japan. The game is based on the events of the Pacific conflict of World War II, so for any history buffs out there, there's just a little bit of a focal point of just what the game was based on. And with the difficulty options, there were 3, Rookie, Veteran, and Elite. And with our rules, I go with Normal, so I thought Veteran would be the right choice. And I'm sure, you know, that's the default and easy difficulty, right? So that's it. We jumped in and started our first level, which would be Training Mode. Every level actually starts off with a little blurb from the pilot's point of view. It's a nice little thing if you want an overview, but this is really the only story consistency of this playthrough. So if you're expecting cutscenes like the beginning of this, you'll be a little bit disappointed to find that the rest now progresses through these text-based diary logs. Before every mission begins as well, you're given this upgrade section for the 2 main plane types, Fighter and Bomber, with 3 stars. All I can go on from what the manual says that comes with the game is every point you put in on a star makes things better. And that's all I had to go on. But it was very misleading. But anyway, we get started and we get going with this first level. As a side note, the loading in this game is quite lengthy. For the first time I experienced this, I thought, oh, maybe it loads a big amount of content, big, lengthy, detailed environments. But yeah, I'll leave this first loading screen in real time so you can experience that it is quite a bit of a wait. But PS2 load times were like this. And as you see here, we're on a plain screen. Now, you've got obviously the fighter and the bomber, and there's usually a recommend. So when you are playing a mission, you usually just go with the recommend. That's what I always did myself. And as you leave, you can just skip this takeoff cutscene. But for our first ever experience, I thought, I've got to at least see how the planes take off. It's a little bit bare bones, as you can see, but we're off, and we are finally able to enjoy the wonderful skies of the Pacific, hopefully. This is sadly, for a training mission, one of those games where it tells you what to do without button inputs. I believe this had a PC release, so I guess to save time and effort, the localization and porting teams couldn't be bothered to add descriptions for what you do. So as you can see here to begin with, I'm messing around with a lot of different camera angles, wondering what the buttons do and whatnot, until I eventually start getting my bearings for the game more than anything. For this kind of game as well, there's a lot going on with the HUD, isn't there? So I'll explain what each little icon means to give you a bit more of an idea of the gameplay and what each notification is trying to tell the player while you're playing this. I'll move from left to right, top to bottom, to let you guys know exactly what each icon means. The first icon here is score, which the score at the end is your experience points, so consider it more of an experience bar. The icon here with the green dot is your armor points, which shows you like your remaining health and protection, stuff like that. It's another one. The one after that is the speed of your plane, the speed you're traveling at. Another simple thing. You've got your radar and your compass at the bottom in this section here, your position on the map. The final two icons on the right-hand side are your primary and secondary ammo counts. Usually, depending on what plane type it is, it will be your bomb count, torpedo count, and other special weapon counter icons for your choice of plane. Your default machine guns, though, have unlimited ammo, so you don't need to ever worry about running out of ammo for these. They're usually your go-to for dealing with aerial combat, not so much trying to shoot down a giant sub, as you're seeing here. Weapon typing is actually quite important in this game for like these big subs especially. I was bombing the absolute crap out of it and it was still standing. Now the other weapon type, as I've said on the right hand side, there are the two icons. You press triangle to switch between them. There is bombs, but then there's a very small count, the torpedo count as it is. Once again, the manual or the game doesn't explain much about it, and I do a pretty bad job of actually using them here to the point where they're useless. So for a torpedo to function well, I don't know if this is historically accurate, I'm sure it is, you need to build up a lot of speed, then release a torpedo, and then this really kind of cool, actually, torpedo cutscene can activate if you select the right camera, and it has enough speed to impact and do quite meaty damage to your target. Going back to the tutorial we were on, though, we are tasked, obviously, with taking out this battleship. I just constantly bomb it after failing to use the torpedoes correctly, and successfully I do actually destroy the ship. We are informed now to return to base. But we need some spicy drama when it comes to these games, and as we fly back, we are informed that the Japanese have attacked, and the war has begun in the Pacific. Oh my god. There is a matter of importance already as we arrive, and we are informed that we have to land in the base and switch to a fighter jet to deal with the problems that have just been announced over the radio. So that is what we are tasked with. The landing in this game is a little bit frustrating, though. I'll also mention that you can see the green rings. You need to fly through them to land, but it's very much hard programmed to only land at one specific point. You can't land on either end of the airfield, so yeah, you have to awkwardly turn around and make sure that you're in the right position to get the plane landed so you can freely switch to the other plane. Landing in itself is pretty straightforward, though. Just follow the rings correctly, and then, like taking off, there's a little cutscene where you can watch the plane land. I'd do it the first time like I did with taking off, so I could just feel a bit of a cinematic experience from this game. And once you enter the hangar, you're just going back to the plane select screen, and we select the fighter to get the job done. The notable difference between a fighter and a bomber is the fighter only has access to missiles, but they are more speedier, but the take back I got as well was they're a bit more squishier too. They're great at dealing with aerial combatants for the most part, and that's what you'll be really switching to these guys mostly for aerial combat missions. It wasn't too bad. You basically tasked with taking out this one plane, so you got the full circle of dealing with both, you know, sea naval units and aerial units, and that wraps up the first tutorial mission of the game. We are successfully congratulated, and we are ready to take part in this new war. With the basic training tutorial done, we are then given our second task, bombers approaching. Obviously, there's a lot of bombers are coming our way, and we need to take care of them. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this at all. This game is very bare bones. It is basically take off, shoot something, either be planes, boats, or maybe both, and rinse and repeat. I would do a play-by-play like I have done in my other videos, but do you want me to talk about 25 missions where it's the same thing over and over again? I don't think so. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out some missions during this American campaign. There's 25 in this campaign. We're going to go to especially 2 missions in particular, which were very frustrating. But apart from that, once I got the flow of this game, it very much works out the same. This is like this video content here right now. You can see I fly around, I shoot down the target bombers in mission 2. It's not really too much of a challenge. You just got to make sure that you destroy them before they take out the targets. As you can see here, they are attempting to destroy our aerial base, but luckily before they fully destroy it, I'm able to deal with the final target, and mission is accomplished. But yeah, this is the issue I had with this game, really. It's very bare bones, and we're going to go and pick out some of the more frustrating ones, to say the least. Here's the first doozy mission then, Barge Hunt. Oh, just thinking about this mission again while I was editing this, God, brought back some memories. So yeah, here's the task you're given. The mission in itself starts like any other mission. We are in our fighter plane, and we've got to deal with the fighter escort. Just the normal box standard, fly around, take them out, easy and done. And once we destroy that, we are then informed that there is a battleship coming along as well, so we need to deal with that as well. I thought, yeah, you need to deal with, bomber's best for this, but I thought just use up all the rockets I can, lay as much damage as I can, and look how I pepper this thing. Look, I absolutely lay waste to it, and it doesn't even phase it. Maybe that's an intentional thing, don't get me wrong, I'm all for that. So yeah, dash back to the base and grab the bomber, which is what is basically the kryptonite against the battleships, and head over that way instead. With some decently placed torpedoes and planning, I lay waste to the battleship in itself, and then we are given the god-awful task of this mission. So here is the setup. You have multiple barges on their way to the coastline. If one of these makes it, the mission fails and we'll have to do this mission again. It's basically a pseudo time limit. You don't know how long it is till they get there, but if we miss him, then we basically have lost the mission. It's like catching a fly with chopsticks, honestly. You're given... It's recommended you keep the bomber, at least I think it does. And these targets are just so hard. I try so hard. I slow down. I drop the bomb. Nothing seemed to work. I think it'd be better if my past self just expressed how I felt during this.
Miss, how the fuck am I meant to hit them? How am I meant to hit them? It's like hit.
So yeah, that's how it goes. And then I just start getting desperate. I start just wondering how to do this. So, crazy idea me thinks I'm gonna do something different. Yeah, we're meant to use a bomber, but screw this. I fly back, and I come up with Plan B. When a gamer is desperate and pushed into a corner, they'll try anything. So I come out with a fighter jet this time. If I can't stop him in any other way, I'll just try and mow him down with my machine gun and the missiles I have in storage. And that's just what I goddamn try and do. Bullet after bullet, rocket after rocket, I slowly actually do successfully take them out. I mean, I'm being very ballsy here, though. I'm absolutely hugging the
I think that's
sea,
the most ironic
bouncing
thing.
off the ocean on some
I'm meant to be
occasions.
helping,
But I was just
but the bombers
doing anything.
themselves can't
And
hit
then,
the.
as I thought I had hope, as I thought I had glory,
The AI
the
bombers
gods
can't
of
hit
gaming smited me down. The goddamn game decided to
Oh
softlock.
shit! And now the game's crashed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is
Like
going
my
great.
day couldn't be getting any better with this
This is
goddamn
going
level.
great.
Thank you, Real Hardware, as always.
Oh man.
With my pride shattered from such a devastating setback, I just go back and attempt this level constantly, over and over again. Another 20-30 minutes after the crash, I just try and do it with the bomber. Desperately trying to take out the last few of these boats. And it's make or break. This was a good run. There was one boat left. Either I stopped it now or I was going to lose. So I just went for it and... Oh.
There is a god.
The sheer bliss in my voice there would make anyone happy, I'm sure. But only a few more levels in, the cursed level that broke me nearly. Red Sun over goddamn Midway. This level. Oh boy, this level is a doozy, I'm telling you now. So here's the breakdown for the mission. We need to help a group of 8 fighters. We must not let more than half die, and also we've got to protect the base. Fair enough. And we've got a task here, there's 8 fighters. So more than half, I'm guessing, you know, if I did the maths, I mean, this is me, how they're explaining it. 8 fighters, more than half. So we can't let 5 die, because that's more than half, isn't it? 3 are left, more than half. That's what I would think. I might be wrong, I could be taking this in wrong, but am I wrong here? Just saying. Right. Okay, so now you got that. Let's get into the mission. We have a little icon in the corner, a new icon, as you can see, Fighters Alive. And as the level goes on, when one dies, the count goes down, as you just saw there. And obviously the intention, I would think, was if that goes down to 3, we've lost 5 fighters, over half. And we've got to take out 3 waves of planes that all progressively get bigger and bigger and bigger. And also at the same time, we can't let them get to this base, because if we get overwhelmed at the base, they'll destroy it as well then. You've got to juggle a lot here and rely on the goddamn AI that they can look after themselves and keep themselves alive. So with all these parameters set out, how does it go? Well, as you can see already, the fighters alive count is at 5 in this situation. 1 gets shot down, and we go down to 4. So the game lied. It's not over half, it's half. It's not more than half. If you lose 4 fighters, you lose. So we've got to remember that. But it doesn't matter, because time and time again, they just keep on dying. If you thought Ashley was a pain in the ass for being protected, these planes just don't seem to care. And time again, I was starting to lose my mind over just how goddamn ridiculous it was. So I changed my strat. I went hyper aggressive, went more into the fights, but then I was getting shot down all the time. I was constantly getting battered by the enemies, time after time, getting crashed into the enemy, getting shot down by the enemy. Nothing seemed to work. The variables were all over the place. And every time I thought I'd come up with a different idea, because, you know, you've got to approach these differently and hope something different happens, just another thing just went wrong. And it just was demoralizing, this level, I'm not going to lie. My mind was fried after 2 hours. So I gave up. I couldn't take it anymore. Well done, game. The veteran difficulty, clearly, even if it was meant for normal, was just too insanely annoying and hard for me. So I did what I had to do to beat this game. We had to set it to rookie difficulty. We would have to reset our complete campaign playthrough, but honestly, I'd easily take that to just to see if we could beat the game even on this difficulty. So did it help in any way? Well, our first hurdle, the beloved barge hunt, was one of my dreaded, obviously, test of skill points in normal difficulty, veteran difficulty. And yeah, with bated breath, we started this level up, and I just was ready to see truly how difficult this was going to be. And of course, it might have been down to the difficulty, but we breeze through this. I don't even bother switching to the bomber. I was very much peeved off and feeling lazy. I'd shoot them all down with the normal fighter jet, and the barges go down in our first attempt. 5 minutes. It was a beautiful, good start to this rerun of this campaign. Of course, the real question though, how did Red Sun over Midway go on this difficulty? Just what I was thinking when we got back to the final point of where we were on our original run. Over 6 hours in. So that, yeah. I mean, this game has multiple difficulties. We were on veteran, and there's a level above veteran. I don't know how this stage would play out on the difficulty above. I can only imagine it's either impossible or just sheer hell. But whatever way, we went into this to see just how well I performed. So the first wave begins, and the general thing happens where, I go in first, leave the AI behind like I was doing on normal difficulty, and just start taking out the planes. Relatively easy. I mean, as you can see over there, the green planes haven't even reached this area yet. So it's just basically a one-man versus a many-plane fight. And it goes just fine. And as the next wave carries on, I start to get quite pebbled by all the gunfire. My health is already quite considerably low. But I still go for it. I'm going for my absolutely lethal, aggressive run, and it works for the most part. But look, there are still 8 planes alive, and the planes are actually fighting right now. They're not standing back, they're not glitched out. We're all cooperating, and we're all focusing on the objective together. It just goes so smoothly. It's insane. I can only think that the AI either have infinite health, maybe, for this escort mission to make the player find it easier, or either way they just work better together, and that's it. I take out my own planes, but the AI also focus on the problems, and when I turn around to try and deal with the last straggler from this third wave of enemies, because after this I found out there were 3 waves of enemies completing this mission, the AI all go on this one plane while all still alive and take out the last goddamn plane. And I just slowly see that plane swoop down, blow up, and that beautiful message, mission successful, pops up. Thank the gods. Nearly 7 hours, and I'm progressing more into this game again. Jeez. So is there anything memorable about the campaign besides some of the annoying missions? There are some okay missions. I mean, this battleship mission, it feels lively, it feels different. This one felt action-packed and not flying around shooting at planes all the time. And then there's other missions as well, like this bomb the base, and I mean, it generally felt okay, but look how empty the environment is. Look how dead the rest of the area is. It's like, what, someone built a base in the middle of an island and there's nothing else there? And then there's the other missions that are just don't really appeal to me. Like this late game mission where you are flying around at night. Ooh, look, different scenery, different change. You've got to find ships in the middle of like this empty black sea. And look at it. There's nothing. There's like nothing appealing. I want to try and give this game something good and praiseworthy, but it's so hard. I always want to try and give it something good and redeeming, but there's just not. Look, this is like an endgame mission. You want to feel like excitement or enjoyment, and there's just nothing. Like, it's such a shame, especially for my first flight sim experience. I was just at a loss. But does the game at least finish on a great fanfare for the final mission? Well, the final mission is called Slit, and we need to deal with the remaining whatever squadron of the Japanese fighter planes is hanging around. So yeah, how do you finish a game to make it feel like an epic adventure and journey? Well, that's easy. You fly around at night, and you shoot at some planes. This is the final mission. Flying around and shooting the straggler survivors of the Japanese fighter force. And I mean, I'm lost for words even when I look back at this and like think this is how they wanted to finish their game. You complete this last mission in 1 minute 30 seconds. Once again, what's the point? Destroy 10 aeroplanes, and you've successfully beaten the mission. Now, that cutscene at the very beginning when you start the game, you think, oh, at least maybe the devs decided to at least finish the game on some sort of like amazing victory. But no. No, I'm afraid to say that this game does not do that. It does the complete opposite. Because once the long-awaited loading screen and success screen turns up, we are given this. A still image saying thank you for the war. Look at it. Unbelievable. Like, NES, Super Nintendo, older generation quality victory. It felt so hollow. And even when you do this, there is no credits. The credits are on the menu. That is it. Done. Done and dusted. Yep. Thank goodness for that, eh? I wish I could say the show's over, folks, but I'm just a stupid, insane guy with rules that he loves to follow. And the rule I have always stated is, if it has multiple campaigns, I'm going to do them. I didn't like this game, sure, and I still don't like this game to this day, but there's still a part of me that had to do it. We had to beat the Japanese campaign and fully be done with it. Logged in forever in history on the internet that I beat this damn game fully and never need to do it again. So what, if any, are the notable differences of the Japanese campaign? Well, you usually take off, instead of an airbase on land, on a battleship at sea. That's basically what you will be doing for the most part. There are a few missions that change this up, but that's one of the changes. And then the other thing is just basically you're carrying out sabotage missions instead. Instead of focusing mostly on air fights, you'll be going around a lot of the American bases and taking out their fuel supplies, their bases, and just doing a lot of bomb runs this way. There's very little variety apart from that. It's just how it all boils down to. A lot more bombing and destruction. I mean, there are some other flight missions as well. I mean, there's 25 missions for this campaign as well. So the same environment, nighttime missions, sometimes a cloudy, overcast mission, sometimes a daytime mission, shoot planes, shoot boats, blow up buildings. I wish I could sell it more, but that same old hat, you know. I will say at least that the final mission actually has something unique and interesting about it. You already know you've lost this war, so you've been captured as a slave, and then you escape from enemy lines from capture by stealing an American fighter jet. And you're desperately trying to fly back to your battleship to tell them that you're safe and obviously please rescue yourself. Upon arrival of your battleship, you're given a countdown timer where you need to wait for your home base to basically confirm that you are who you say you are. During that time, your friendlies will be shooting at you and dealing damage to you until that countdown that's on the screen basically confirms that, yeah, you say who you are and all that jazz.
Is that him?
Yeah, you had to wait around. Yeah, you have to basically draw out a timer. But at least it felt different in the American campaign. You shooting a couple of planes and winning that final level. This one, it felt like a mission. You're trying to avoid damage, and when that zero counter runs out, it's time to deal with the fighters that are fighting your guys. It's the only way to get home safe and sound, so we've got to deal with the remaining few fleet of enemies. If you wanted to feel like this was a level of challenge, the other level of challenge is you're using a bomber fighter rather than a fighter jet. So the struggle to take out the aerial planes with your group of enemies might be the challenge. But yeah, we shoot down the last plane. The beloved explosion of the final fighter is sounded, and we get the final mission success screen. Finally, this game was about to wrap up. And after one last final victory splash screen, the beloved JPEG victory is given to us. It didn't bother me at this point. I had done it. I'd beaten 50 levels of this game. Every single one. I'd love to say 100%, but there were some objectives I didn't. I didn't destroy every objective on every mission. So I can't say I 100%ed Pacific Warriors 2 Dogfight. But do I care? No. It doesn't bother me that I can't say that. I sadly, though, have to admit that for my first Midas game on the PS2, this wasn't a fun game. There are two soundtracks to this. There's one constant background music for the American side and one background music for the Japanese side. The areas felt empty. The objectives are so nearly always samey. Shoot some bombers, shoot some planes, make it nighttime, make it daytime, make it cloudy. There is sadly nothing redeeming about this game, and thus why I sadly have to award it with something just for that reason. So, a round of applause and congratulations to Pacific Warriors 2 Dogfight for receiving the first coveted PlayStation trophy. The PlayStation U trophy will only be given out when I think a game has no gameplay, absolutely no purpose to be played or collected or even owned. Games are meant to be enjoyed, and this was one that just didn't have any redeeming factors. I'm sorry, Pacific Warriors Dogfight. Some of you may have noticed the thumbnail, and I'm afraid Pacific Warriors 2 Dogfight, you do get slapped with the PlayStation U symbol. I'm sorry, but with so many games out there, there are going to be some doozies, and Midas, your first published game I've played, got it. But you can redeem yourself. You've published many games on my system. I'm sure you won't get an award for every game you've published, right? Oh boy, what a trip that was. Game number 4 beaten at least, everybody. Beaten and completen. I'm glad that's over with. Anyway, time to wrap things up, and our first thing to do is to give our lovely streamer spotlight to someone. And today's streamer spotlight is friend BPN Gaming on Twitch. He's doing the Radical Console Challenge where he plays every system and a game for every system. He's just doing an insane task, but he enjoys his video games. And I just love the dude. He's great to chat with. He's very knowledgeable and loves to talk video games with him. Please check him out. And at the moment, he's playing PS2. So yeah, go him. But the most important thing, as always, is just a big thank you to everyone that always comes along and watches these videos. Hell, I'm on game number 4 with these videos I've been doing for the recaps, and I already hit 100 subs plus. I mean, just thanks, guys. I mean, I appreciate that people are enjoying the content, watching the content, and even subscribing to my channel. You are all incredible people just spending your time here and appreciating my content. And obviously, yeah, just watching the videos, making comments, and everything above that. Thank you so much for just being here as we carry on this long journey that I'm really enjoying. As always, there's a Discord if you want to join it, and you can watch me live on Twitch. And yeah, I'm always open to any ideas and any concepts that you guys may be interested in. I'm always ready to apply stuff to the channel that you think might help it. But yeah, thank you as always for watching. A comment actually we got in the last Robots video was from Croporo and said, would I include the next game that's going to be reviewed? And I can do that. Why not? Hey, we might as well add it to the end so you guys get excited. So I can already to let you know that the next one is quite the banger. That's right. The next game we'll be playing and reviewing is the cult classic. The game that's getting a remaster soon. Yeah. Silent Hill 2. Oh yeah, I hope you're ready for that. Have a lovely day, everyone, and I'll see you next time on the next video review in the PS2 Collection Challenge.